Hi, everyone. Welcome to Shot Callers, a Storied Rivals podcast where we sit down with high school football coaches in the leagues that we cover. We cover the Muskingum Valley League and the Licking County League. And today we're in the LCL, the Licking County League, with the Granville Blue Aces. Head coach Wes Schroeder is joining the show. Coach, thanks so much for taking the time to join us on Shot Callers today. How's your summer going? I know we're about a month away from the season starting. I'm sure you've got some final 7-on-7 scrimmages. Two-a-days are probably starting soon, but how's the summer been for you?
It's been good. It'll be good once we get the kids there consistently. We have kids who are, involved in other sports or on class trips or vacations. It'll just be nice to get in that consistent routine of having everybody there. But it's been good. We've had good attendance, and kids are working hard. We're excited to get the year rolling.
On Saturday, I believe you have a 7-on-7 tournament at DeSales. So what are you looking for going into that? Is that kind of your final season prep as you approach week one?
Yeah, we're excited. Coach Crabtree has reached out to me a few months ago and just asked if we wanted to come. We're really excited. We're going to be the only Division III team there. There's a lot of D1s and a couple D2s there. So we'll be the smallest school there, but that's kind of what we want. We want to kind of push ourselves against some of the best, talent-wise, coaching-wise, and all that stuff, and get that opportunity. And we typically don't do competition 7-on-7s, but this was an opportunity we felt would be good for our kids and a good experience. So we're doing that, and then we have a couple days of practice early next week, and then Wednesday we're wrapping up with just kind of a final 7-on-7 just to sure things up from the Saturday with Northland, and then we'll take off that Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then that following Monday, we're full go and football's here. So yeah, it's
nice.
We're excited for Saturday.
Love it. Yeah. So recently you had a 7-on-7 against Newark Catholic, and you had a freshman quarterback playing because your junior quarterback, Beckett Long, was overseas for a school trip. So you had Jackson McMillan filling in for him and taking some snaps. How did he fare as kind of a young gun, against some of those talented Newark Catholic kids that they have?
It was fun. It was interesting. He was nervous. They run our offense at the middle school, but a very dumbed down version, if you will. There's a lot of stuff he hasn't seen. We're coaching on the fly, so it was a good experience. Beckett was over in Japan with the school trip. We had a couple kids there, but it was a good day for us. We saw some of our senior leaders, be leaders. That was the biggest thing we wanted to take from it. We want to see our guys take coaching and find out what their responsibilities and their roles are. So it was a good day for us. And yeah, with Jackson, it was, he had a couple reps throwing with those, with our upperclassmen receivers. And, we haven't had a lot of time with him, so he doesn't really completely know our playbook, but he did a good job for, for the lack of reps and experience that he has.
Sure.
So it was funny.
Yeah. So I kind of want to, so you're going into your fourth year here at Granville. So I kind of want to go back to 2020 when you took over the program, because obviously that, like, to start a new coaching job or just start any new job in 2020 had to have been just a complete mess and kind of a train wreck, I guess, because there's so much uncertainty going on at the time. You can't really see people face to face. So kind of take me back to that year when you took over the program from Justin Buttermore. And, like, I guess, what was that year like? Because I'm sure you probably couldn't see the players face to face immediately. It was probably a lot of Zoom stuff. Obviously, once we got into the season, it was a shortened season. Everybody made the playoffs that year and all that stuff. So it was all in all a crazy year. But kind of take me back to the start of your tenure with Granville when you took over, and kind of what that year was like, trying to navigate being a new head coach with new kids, installing a new system, and all of that stuff.
Yeah, that year was miserable, to say the least, for a lot of reasons. I didn't get hired until the end of May, so I didn't get to meet the kids until June, and then we were coaching in pods, meaning we had a group of 9 players with one coach, and then we just rotate around just to the contact tracing part of it. And I didn't know any coaches on staff that I hired, prior to hiring them. I didn't know anybody in Granville. It was a crazy time. And then we didn't have scrimmage. We had one scrimmage with Newark, very short one. We had no 7-on-7s. And then we went, 2 hours south to Waverly. And then we got down there, we had a 2-hour delay. And it was just everybody kind of had sloppy week ones that year just because of the lack of of reps, and we end up taking the lead, and we blow a late lead and lose on a last second touchdown, and we had to take that 2-hour bus trip back home. And then not to mention taking, I tell Justin Buttermore all the time I talk to him, he was very highly thought of at Granville. So you add that into the mix where, they just lost somebody that they really, the community, the players really respected and looked up to, and he was an outstanding coach. So you add that into the mix of everything else you're dealing with coming off their 10-2 season. And and then we beat Zanesville the following week, and we go to Valley, who's our rival, and we lose on, Hail Mary, and it was crazy, but we got what we wanted out of that year. We got to play games. I said, I want to play hopefully 5 to 6. We didn't know if we were going to play any.
Right.
We got 7 games in, I believe, and we got to play DeSales in our last game in the playoffs, and took a lead on them in the third quarter, and they ended up going to the state championship. So it gave us belief going to the next year, which led into, historical season for Granville. So it was a lot of pain and suffering and learning that year, but it was worth it. It was that's kind of how it's life. You go through tough times, and normally you come out better on the other end, and I think I did, and so did our team.
Yeah, you mentioned 2021. That was an unbelievable year. I mean, you had so much talent on that team. You went undefeated in the regular season, state semifinalist, and just unbelievable year. Over the last couple of years, you just had a ton of upperclassmen, but now this year it seems like you kind of have a younger team. Not a lot of seniors on the squad for you this year, but still plenty of weapons, as we've seen in some of the scrimmages and things like that. Senior receiver Dante Varrasso is one of the better receivers in the Licking County League that you have. But talk about the youthfulness of this team and some guys that we should be looking out for on both sides of the ball this year for Granville.
Yeah, we have a little more experience back this year than we did last. Last year we lost 21 seniors or
right
there, and we only had a couple guys that played on that Final Four team. So we were replacing a lot, but we had a lot of guys who were hungry to prove themselves, and they did last year. And we have some of those same guys back this year. And you talked about Dante. I think it always starts with him. He's our guy. He played a little bit as a sophomore on our Final Four team, and he was dealing with injuries. But then he came in last year. I think he had 1,000 yards receiving, and he's I don't think he's one of the best. I think he is the best in the Licking County League. Obviously him, and then I think Kyle Kirby. He was a freshman. We tried easing him into it last year. And we couldn't really ease him into it because he was so good. Week 1, we kind of like gave him a few reps here and there. And then by the time we got to Heath or after into league play, I think we got into league play, then he was full-time both ways, Licking Valley both ways, and just a tough, strong kid. He's getting a lot of looks. I think he'll end up being a scholarship kid. We're really, really excited about Beckett Long at quarterback. He's a competitor. He did some Wildcat stuff for us last year, was our free safety, and was outstanding at free safety. And I think he's just a natural leader, a natural competitor that you want in the quarterback position. And then we just, we have, Jack Yeager's back, and we have, we're expecting Jacob Culver to make some plays for us to hopefully help out. And then, in the Kyle being in the backfield. And we also have Noah Music, who's an outstanding kicker, which is kind of weird to talk about as a football coach, but he's a really good football player, but he's a kicker too. And he was, he won us a couple games probably when we beat Licking Valley, kicked 3 field goals, we won by 2, and we beat Bell Fountain in the first round. I think that was the game, kicked a 47-yard field goal. So we have a lot of pieces. And like you said, our senior class is not real deep. I think we have 8 or 9 in that group. So this is the last year, I think. I think if you're going to get Granville and you think you're going to get us, this might be a year. We don't think that's the case, but I think people outside of our locker room, this is the chance to get us, and we're going to do everything we can to make sure that doesn't happen.
Right. And yeah, kickers are people too. They're football players too. They're super valuable. I mean, they may not be the biggest or the strongest, but man, do they? I mean, you just said it. Like they win you games. Yeah. So.
We're excited to see him kick. I think he might be able to put some in the end zone this year, which would be huge for our defense.
Sure.
And we have Bodie Shopes, who's a sophomore. He's not too far off him as a kicker, so we have another kicker coming. We're excited about. Yeah, it's weird. I'm a up-tempo, fast-paced type coach, and talking about kickers is kind of strange for me. But Noah's we love Noah. He's a great kid, and he's a really good football player too. but his ability to kick the football is pretty special.
Sure, yeah. You mentioned Kyle Kirby, who's going to be in the backfield for you. I read something the other day. Has he put on 15 to 20 pounds
He
since
has.
last season? Like
He has.
that's an insane amount of mass and strength
Yeah.
and muscle to put on. Like, I guess kind of talk about like the off-season development for him and like what you guys do with your team, in the off-season, whether it's weight training, nutrition, like what do you do with your guys to put on 20 pounds, in the span of an off season?
He kind of took that upon himself. That's the kind of kid he is. He's just a natural
Sure.
hard worker. He's like I tell people, he's the model blue ace. Like he's going to work hard at whatever he does. He's worked out a lot on his own, and with some other people in the off season. And he has put on weight. We're going to see how it we hope it translates to. He's already a physical, strong kid. That was never a concern of ours. We hope he continues to gain the speed and athleticism that he's shown over the past few years in our program. But he plays angry. He plays very violent, and we love him. He's a very, very good player. He's going to be a middle linebacker. I think that's where he's going to really help us a lot. He'll be in the backfield, and he's got great hands. He's an athlete too. Like we just in the 7-on-7, he made some really nice catches. So, yeah, we're excited to see him. I don't know what to expect. He is bigger, but he was really physical and strong last year too. So he was one of our best players as a freshman. So if that tells you anything.
Yeah, it's just weird to see like a high school kid put on 15 to 20 pounds of just beef, in the span of an off season. Like that's insane. But yeah,
he's not your typical high school kid. I'll tell you that. He's
for sure.
High school kid. So
that's
we never play freshmen. I kept telling our coaches, like, we're not playing a freshman. He's not going to play. We'll work him in. We'll get him on special teams. And he forced our hand because he was so good last year.
Sure.
He was unbelievable. He made a one-handed, catch over the middle against I can remember just so many plays that he made. I'm like, seniors don't make these plays. And he was 14. So he played last year at 14. He didn't turn 15 until March.
Oh, wow.
So he's not like he's not like he should be something. If anything, he could be held back and really be an incoming freshman. But yeah, he's a special kid. I don't get we like talent, we like ability, but more so than that, he's just an unbelievable kid. He's yes sir, no sir, great leader, great energy, and you win with those kids. And we're the same as Dante, same as Becky, same as we have a lot of those kids. So we're really excited for those guys.
So you mentioned that this year, if there was a year to get the Granville Blue Aces, it's this year. And you said you're kind of embracing that underdog mentality and that like not many people outside of your locker room are maybe believing in you or expecting much from your team this year. I mean, why do you think that is? Do you think it is the youthfulness, the guys that you have coming back? Like you've been an extremely successful program over the last few years, state semifinalist a couple years ago, great year last year at 8-2, won a playoff game. Like, why do you think, people that are not in your locker room, whether it's in the community or outside of the community, why do you think people are not on board with the Granville Blue Aces this season?
Yeah, I do think, we have a lot of holes to fill. We had some holes to fill up front on both sides of the ball and at linebacker. But when I got hired, the group, and I love it because I think this class is really going to put a chip on their shoulder, and that's what we want. When I got hired, they told me this class was not a very good class. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It's just, they said, I think we have 5 kids 6 that played every year from freshman to senior. They were just, Dante Varrasso, who's, a very, very talented. He didn't play in 8th grade. So it's just kind of been up and down. And I think people are aware that we have really good kids and really hardworking. I don't want to act like we're going to, people think that we're, dog crap, because we're not going to be that. But I do think that there's some special classes coming. We have 75 kids in our junior high. We have 20 in the other classes. And I personally, I don't have any doubt that we're going to be a competitive, very good football team. But I think if you look at us and you see 8 seniors, not a ton of experience and not a ton of size, I think just common sense says this is the class, that people might write off. We 100% are not, and our kids are not, and we love, having the success we had and being able to play that underdog role a little bit. So.
Yeah, I know you always set high expectations for yourself and for your team, and I know your team is always capable of being a league-winning team every year. But it's odd when you kind of hear chatter that like, oh, Granville may not be that good this year. It's like, what? No, that's usually not how it goes. So I
Yeah.
was just curious, kind of your thoughts on that. But Coach, I do want to thank you so much for your time joining us here on Shot Callers. Like I said, you've built an incredible and successful program over the last few years. And although it's a younger team, not as many seniors this year, I'm super excited to kind of see some of the names that pop up for your team over the course of this year, how successful they are, and hopefully lead you to a Licking County championship this year.
Yeah, we hope so. Hey, we got the pieces in place. It's just, we'll see how the kids work. And I appreciate you guys. I appreciate everything Storied Rivals does and Aaron does. It's great. It's great for the game of high school football and all over Ohio, but especially in Central Ohio. So I appreciate you guys, and thanks for taking the time.